So, hi everyone, this is a SIG Scheduling meeting on January 8th, 2026. We have like 5 items in our agenda, so we have to be quick in each of them. And yeah, Heba should start, but I don't see Heba yet in the meeting. So if Heba is not there, I think we could start with the Ravin for no declared features beta and maybe come back to the Heba point.
Hey, yeah. Uh, I added a couple of topics within the node declared features. Uh, this went alpha in 135, and I'm currently working on like the beta for 136. Can I get access to share my screen?
You could have it now.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, like the first question that I added was like I started working on the perf test for this feature, and basically like what I found was like just a quick summary. Like this is like a scheduler plugin that runs every time, like for like when a pod is scheduled, and it has two parts. Like during the pre-filter stage, it looks at the pod spec and infers all of the features that it needs, and in the filter stage it matches with the node capability, declared features on the node. And during the perf test, like what I discovered was like when I have a node with like 20 features declared, and for any pod that gets that we want to schedule, it the throughput kind of goes down by around like 7%. So my question was like, how do we interpret this perf results, and how do we determine if some throughput impact is like okay or not? So, or basically like is there something that we need to work on in the beta to kind of improve this? So I mostly wanted like feedback around this.
What will be the like real number of the features?
I think like the threshold that we have is uh like, if I remember correctly, the threshold is 128. Currently we have three declared features. So yeah, I like considering that this is used for like features that are in alpha or beta, I thought maybe 20 is kind of like a representative number, which is why I choose this for the benchmark. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that 20 is realistic number. I would even say that maybe we'll have a little bit more. Like
Mhm.
basically, I would assume that like it's not really alpha and beta. It's like until we have feature gate probably. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
probably alpha, beta, and 3 releases of GA. So we can
yeah,
assume
right.
like we can probably assume like that in majority of cases it will be like a given feature will stay in the features in those features for 6 releases. So it means like
Mhm.
um 20 means like 3 features per release ish being
Mhm.
added, which is probably I would expect to be like on average to have like even a higher number. So I think
Mhm.
like um we would like it would be useful to have this benchmark also to run with like I don't know 50 or something to see like if it
Okay.
skates I would expect it skates roughly linearly. But
Mhm.
my question that I wanted to ask is like it's the overhead of it seems pretty high to me given like how simple that feature is. It's effectively like just a check like if the feature is on that node or not. So
Mhm.
like it's super surprising to me because it's like it's even simpler than checking if there are enough resources to that. So do we know why it is why this overhead is like so non-negligible?
Uh, So like basically we have two parts to this, right? Like for every pod we need to iterate through all of the declared features and determine if it's there or not. And the second part is like currently like we need to do like a match between what is declared on the node, and that is kind of a linear match right now. Tim has a PR or like Tim has something that is working on to kind of like make this more efficient. Maybe that could help reduce the impact, but for the inference part, I think we still need to run through like all of the features that are being registered like within this framework.
Yeah, I'm working on a PR that uses basically converts the features to bitmaps, so the comparison or the check against nodes should be a constant time comparison. For the inference step, which is computing which features should be required for a pod, that happens in the pre-filter stage, which at least it seems like that step could be parallelized. Does the scheduler already do that, or is it doing the pre-filter in a serial way when it goes to schedule each pod?
It's serialized, so it's not parallel.
Do we know which of these phases actually takes the most time? Because the node one is kind of like the product of number of features and number of nodes per pod, like for each pod, whereas the other one's just number of features.
But the filtering also is parallelized. So like we are parallelizing the filtering, so at least to some extent. So
yeah, like specifically for this test I haven't looked into like whether the pre-filtering is taking most of the time or the filter stage. That is something that I can look at. Dominic or Tim, I don't know who raised their hand first.
Actually, if I could just respond to that last point quickly. So in the test, I think you're iterating through environment variables, looking for a variable that matches the name.
Yeah.
I suspect that is going to be a more expensive comparison than like that's probably leaning on the side of more expensive for what a lot of declared features will be. Looking at like pod level resources is just checking if that specific field is non-nil. Things that have to dive down into the containers might be a little more expensive, but there's ways to make that more efficient as well. So.
Okay. Do you mean like the string comparison, or like the fact that we are iterating through all the containers within the pod spec? Because if I like within the pod itself, like in this test, I just have like one container. So basically, yeah.
I mean, that should be pretty fast, but
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dominic.
So my question was, how did you get that high throughput? Is because like we usually achieve something like 300 pods per second. So
I just ran this test like locally, like the try run benchmark, and this is what
I think that's scheduler perf, Dominic, which is not the same as end-to-end real. Like this is, I think we see similar numbers when we do the scheduler perf stuff on the DRA side. Like it's not. This is a simulation environment in memory, and it's not the same thing. It's just more about comparison, not to the absolute number. That's my understanding of that set of tests.
Okay, so I think running perf tests, it's good measurement. should be.
Yeah, so this was mostly a question on, like, I can look at the couple of suggestions on the test itself and try to see if I can make this like more representative. And I can also like run this after Tim has his PR about like on making the node comparison like constant time. Uh, yeah, like maybe after that we'll get like a better sense of like how big is the impact. But I was mostly curious on like uh what is the yeah, the throughput impact that we would be okay with like for the beta for this cap, because we are like adding all of this inference for each pod, right? So
I don't think like we really have like a good single number or single percentage to say. I think like it's more about like understanding why is this happening. Like this is a useful feature, so like we definitely can accept some overhead. Like every new thing comes with some overhead. It's rather like getting better intuition like why the numbers are changing, not like if they are changing. Like I think we need to be able to like persuade ourselves that like the increase in those latencies actually like is what we expect. I don't think it's like, at least like it's surprising to me for now.
okay, yeah, let me just take another look at the test and make it more representative.
And let's try to like have like a more detailed breakdown where the time goes. Like I think that should help us to understand. If it's like we shouldn't optimize for the sake of optimizing. We should like first see like where the time really goes, and then see if like the team's PR is what will actually like make the difference. Or maybe the time is actually, as I'm not sure who, but like someone already mentioned, maybe the test is not super representative. Like so let's try to understand it a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. I had another topic, but I don't want to take up like all of the time. Like maybe, yeah, I added a doc for like how we want to integrate the declared features with the cluster autoscaler. I'm open to like doing this offline, or I can like talk about this like after the other topics are covered.
I think we also don't have like all the needed people for that discussion here.
Okay.
So let's.
Yeah, I think we can take it offline, Maciek.
Okay.
Yes, like I can take a look at it and write to the PR that you created.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
I think we
Okay.
can also like front load John's topics, because the discussion about WAS might take unpredictable amount of time.
I'll try to be quick then. One, I just wanted to give the heads up, and if somebody clicks on that, I can just you'll see there's a ton of things, not all of them SIG scheduling. A lot of them are graduations though, and so hopefully won't take too much research. I know there's a lot already on the plate for the SIG and the approvers. A lot of these alphas probably won't actually progress as much as we would hope. So just wanted to give the heads up. Bunch of things on here, maybe half of which or more are SIG scheduling, but a lot of them are either beta to stable or alpha to beta, which hopefully won't have too much review bandwidth. If there's no questions on these, we can move to the other topic, which was just
actually, John, could we go quickly through those items, and like can you tell us like which are the important ones? Something
okay.
that...
So the first one, we really want to get that to beta in 136. So that would be our top priority. that missed beta in 135. The next two should be fairly trivial, I think. They're already from the, well, they're not even SIG scheduling owned. Okay, the two after that, device taints and tolerations, and partitionable devices. These are roughly priority order, I would say. We'd like to get both of those to beta. I think they're pretty close to ready anyway. The next SIG scheduling ones, so binding conditions has been hanging around for a while, and I think there's still some work there, but it's I would personally probably put consumable capacity higher than that, but that's not really my personal preference. Isn't necessarily the defining factor. I think the consumable capacity is in pretty good shape, honestly. So probably won't be that hard to move to beta. Some of these other ones, I'm not sure. Like mix-ins, we're probably going to just, we may not even try to go for alpha, but we want to keep it. We may just do some cap updates, and because we don't see an urgent need for that yet, because it's really about resource size, and adds a lot of complexity. Reserved for workloads could be important. It gets to the WAS stuff and is tied to that and might have a dependency on that such that we can't progress. I don't know yet. But the idea there is to break a scalability constraint that we have, that we list individual pods in every resource claim. And we'd like to list like a pod group. If we go to a pod group resource, then putting a pod group in there would work really well. If not, then it's put a workload in there and some sort of replica key or something for the pod group. I don't know yet, but the idea is that then we don't have to, we don't run into a limit on the count of that size of that field with pod listing individual pods.
Yeah, I think
So
that, sorry, that has like a strong dependency on like the decision we will make with like what we are doing with pod group. Like I already started this doc like before Christmas. I'm going to like follow up on that and like fill in a bunch of like trade-offs and so on, depending on the option that we have. And like we should probably get back to this discussion based on that.
Yeah, exactly. The native resource request is a node feature here, but scheduling, there's a lot of scheduling stuff there. Praveen's on that too. That one's going to be very tricky. I'm not sure, Praveen, if do you think we'll actually make alpha or we'll make design decisions towards alpha? I like looking at the work that the document you put together and the discussion with Sasha, like it feels like, and we still have time. We still have a whole month before cap freeze, but it's a very challenging feature. What do you agree?
Yeah, I think like we have a lot of open questions, but we are slowly getting alignment. But for now, it's mostly focused on the scheduler side of the changes. So yeah, I think maybe uh, it should be owned by like the scheduling scheduling SIG, at least for
Okay,
the R.
you think we should change the ownership there? Okay,
Yeah,
we can do that. I don't think device class builds it. I didn't even put it as alpha on 136. That's an optimization that we can decide to do or not, based upon what people think. That's like the idea there is that you put an explicit thing in the device class that says something like, this is a node local device class. And then the scheduler can make more optimal, like it can sort of like, it can shortcut some of its processing. So I think that can be deferred until we really need it. Resource claim support for workloads also very tightly coupled to the pod group decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other things are too even ill-defined to even say what they are right now, and probably won't. This one, the bottom one, maybe connect consumable and partitionable. That did come up in our meeting yesterday or the day before. as something that people want to potentially do. So we're working on making progress on that. That might pop up. The others probably won't materialize this cycle. Is that useful enough, or are there specific ones you want to dig into, Dominic?
No, I think it is useful. It shows like how much we have down here for reviews and like.
Realistically, the most important ones are the betas, the ones going to beta.
Okay.
And I'm hoping they don't have too much review demand.
Okay. Yeah, I think from our side, you are probably also aware that we would like to have the workload scheduling phase as the highest priority. We have to introduce it because many other features depend on it. And yeah, we have a few other important features we would like to prioritize. Yeah, we will try to do our best. The team is growing. Our internal team and external contributors are also coming in. So yeah, as usual, there will be reviewing bandwidth under pressure. That's nothing new, I guess, but.
John, are those already mostly filled in and updated caps and just waiting for review, or this is still to be done?
I suspect the beta and alpha ones are mostly already ready.
I know that both device tents and partitional devices, there's already PRs to update the caps. So if it helps for us to front load them, we can try to do that, so we don't get everything at the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and like in general, I think like anything that we can front load has much higher chance of being like approved, right? So
yeah, awesome, thank you. How about Oh. Did we lose Heba? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this?
No, I think we can move.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a quick suggestion, if you don't mind, if we can have like priorities for all these, like P0, P1. Yes. So I think this might help SIG scheduling plan for the priority from priority perspective. And for Dominic and SIG scheduling lead, would it help to just split the work between people who we know that they're really working like dedicated for SIG scheduling for review, for example? So like KIP 5004, it's assigned to this specific person as first reviewer, and then once we got it, the first reviewer, we can ask another team member as a second reviewer.
I think we did that last. Yeah. I think we did that last cycle, and it worked pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, we started it, but we didn't assign we didn't follow it from the beginning. But if that help, I think we can organize ourselves a little bit by just picking.
I think it will. I think it will help. We will have more reviewers or reviewer candidates, I would say. But yeah, the reviews should be also valuable. So.
Okay, so I think John, if we can just have another column for the priority, I think that might help, and okay. we will reflect this in the dashboard as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll take care of that. I'll run it by the folks in the working group, make sure we don't have anybody who's violently opposed to my prioritization, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then my other item, hopefully, is quick. So last in Atlanta, I know many of you were there. We did a whole day design session between mostly SIG scheduling, but also SIG auto scaling and obviously the working group device management and other folks from different projects, ecosystem projects. I'd like to do another one of those, but maybe half a day, maybe like 3 hours. What do folks think? Are they up for that? It would be probably Monday morning. Same last time we did Monday all day. I know there are colos and some people might not be able to make it then, but I can work with. We should be able to get. I'll ask the CNCF, but most likely we'll end up doing it at the Google office again because it's just it's super easy for me to organize it. So I saw some thumbs up, and I will get working on that then. Cool.
Yeah, definitely. This will be super helpful.
Yeah, I wanted to do that too. So thanks for just jumping ahead. So.
Oh, sure. Well, if you want to organize it, that works for me too, because you're local there. Well, you're not really local. You're localer. But no, I'll take care of it. We can talk about it offline. But what I would want to do
let's think on that. Yes, I'm happy to help with maybe a little bit more than I helped last time. So.
Well, okay. So what we'll do is send out a proposed agenda to the SIG here, and probably pull in the SIG auto scaling folks and whoever else, and make sure everybody has a good agenda. But it'll be, since we've already had the giant meeting for 6 hours, 8 hours, or whatever we did, I think we can make this a little more focused. That would be good. So awesome. Thank you. All right. Won't take any more of your time.
Thanks, John. So yeah, let's move on to the HEBA.
Yeah, so while I'm working on that very debatable, piece of work for the workload integration with the true workloads with the other controllers, I figured out that having the min count immutable, it's like blocking for a lot of lots of cases for the integration with different APIs, and I was about to discuss this with you, but I figured that there's another discussion already started to think about the workload API, in general, and just reevaluate it before beta. So I'm not sure if we should have this discussion now, or we should wait until we figure out if the min count and other properties or fields will change. What do you think?
Do you have any proposal how you think the mutability should look like?
Yeah.
Is it just about making the field mutable and the scheduler will adjust, or do you think there should be some process of actuating and
so I wrote a small section about it in the design document, in the Google design document I shared now in the chat, which is stating why we need to have it as mutable instead of immutable. But basically my requirement is can we have it mutable or not? It's not changing anything else. And I'm stating why here, and what is the behavior with and without being mutable, and so happy to discuss it now or discuss it in the meeting we are planning to have for the workload integration in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as I was playing around with job controller leveraging the workload API, this does block the elastic index jobs, where for an index job, we're allowed to change parallelism and completions to whatever really we want. I think they have to be changed together. And the only way I could do to support that is I'd have to delete the workload and create a new one to kind of just, I didn't know if there was really any problems with that. It's not great, but I didn't like it. It worked. But that it's like, I don't know if like deleting a workload when all the pod groups are scheduled would be a problem, and whether or not that would eventually be a bigger issue to like delete these things and then recreate them on patching the parallelism for job. But this is already a pretty, well, I don't know how well used it is, but it was one of the items I wanted to make sure I got working with the job controller.
Yeah, I stated this actually, like in the first tab here, which is the job, like the job set and other API as well. It will be like a plugin actually for them to integrate with the workload API. Wojtek?
Yeah, I think that like I buy the fact that we did like workload recreation is not what users want. So like I think we need to do something. Like my main question, sorry, I didn't yet read the doc, like if that was shared before, then maybe that's answered there. But like I don't know exactly what semantics we actually want to have. So like let's assume that the job is already scheduled and we want to like increase its size. Like so what should be the semantics of increasing the min count here? So like what if we can't schedule like the remaining pods to satisfy the min count? Then we preempt the already running ones. Like I think that's I think the answer to the question like whether we can make it mutable depends on the answer to like what should happen there, and then we can discuss like how reasonable that is.
Actually, thanks for you. You already reviewed this document once before the like holidays, but I added and updated a lot to this document.
It looks very different from what I remember.
No, actually, this is new tab. Like the one I shared right now, it's a new tab. But the first tab you already reviewed it, which I was trying to gather. Of course, not designing all of them, but to gather all the requirements that we might need to integrate the workload API with each controller, and what is the requirement, how we can map the min count and other fields from the controller. So. And this, when it comes, like I started to, like to hit all these plugs. So if you read the job and job set part, you will find that I was trying to let me go through it to just make sure that I'm, like stating the right thing. Yeah, so actually, according to the job policy and the job mode, the min count will will determine according to like set of some policies here. So it will differ from from how to calculate the min count. So for example, like it might be per replicated job for the job set, but for the job it's different. But again, for the scaling up, scaling down, we definitely, hopefully, from my perspective, need to change the min count. So yeah. Anyway, like I've tried my best to like gather all like that, or conclude all these points in this document, and hopefully we can like async like review the doc and like gather more information about all objects or all controllers, and try to just like get like get more perspective before like deciding how to integrate the workload API, because this like once we see all like the whole picture, we will see what we need to update in the workload API to make sure it is working and it is integratable.
Yeah, I will try to review it as soon as possible. I think that by just looking what is presented now, like the atomic, I think the potential problem that I see is that pods are once bound, the pods cannot be moved, cannot be rescheduled. So like the atomic may actually require action from the controller to recreate or to recreate the pods. Like when I think I need to think about it a little bit more, like how feasible that is, and like what exactly we would need. I have a suspicion that like we will need a little bit more knobs on the workload API here, but I need to think about it a little bit more.
I think we will have a meeting dedicated to this discussion, right?
Yes, I have the poll actually still open in the SIG Scheduling channel. So please help me, like trying to pick the day and the time to send invitation for all the stakeholders to discuss this, like this feature.
Sure.
I think that
Kevin was also asking about making this recurring meeting. What do you think about that?
Okay, so
this, I mean, not specifically those two topics, but in general.
Actually, the integration for the workload API, it is, like a very wide topic, and it involves like the job set, TM, LWS, and like SIG apps. So lots of stakeholders. So it makes sense to have it as a recurring meeting, at least for the next release, and then we can see if we need it to be continued or not. Or if people, like don't want it to have just one more meeting, we can have this discussion during the SIG scheduling or SIG apps meeting. It's up to you.
So I was thinking about having SIG scheduling / VAS meeting like every week, because if you have bi-weekly meetings and sometimes like one of us cannot attend it, then it means that we meet one every month, which is not too often. So we could consider using the same slot and have SIG scheduling and later VAS meeting and SIG scheduling. Of course, we will probably mix the topics because it's hard to talk about on SIG scheduling something different than the workload or scheduling.
We already have like a weekly meeting for SIG scheduling, but in different time zones.
Yes, that's true.
So I know it is not working. Yeah, it is not working for everyone, of course, because the time zone problem. But it's up to you.
Any opinions about that? I don't have strong opinion.
I mean, yeah, I would love to, find a place where these discussions are happening, because, I think that from the workload aspect, what I wanted to try to do once this was available on Kind, I've been trying to play around with how this would work with job set and job, and trying to understand, like, with DRA and TAT and topology aware scheduling, like all these different APIs, and like what the implication of all of these would be on what kind of API I want to expose for job set. So I think like it's helpful to have a place where I can follow. SIG scheduling is, I mean, it's fine, but it is only every 2 weeks. And then there's obviously, I'm also trying to understand the overlap of WAS with Q. And part of that, is working group batch, but it's also a lot of effort on you all to probably keep attending those too. So I think having, that's.
I think like Andre suggestion is good, which is having this meeting during the work group batch, which is, it makes sense, it makes sense to the extent, but to some extent, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm technically part of that, and I think so is Yuki and others, and obviously the people that are wanting to go, we can include them. I think that, yeah, there's a lot of stakeholders. This is sort of the challenge.
Andre?
Yeah, I have like another question, and thank for this. Heba, I'll also take a look on the proposal. So I think like in the caps that Kevin and we also prepare for job, I kind of ask about how those workload API should be created by the workload owners. Like for example, I know we push more features like DRA, we push gang scheduling to workload API, and one of the idea to have like maybe every workload owner should have a template, like similar to resource claim template and the peer system volume claim template that you already have in stateful sets. So my question is like, do we have any idea in terms of how those workloads will be created? And is there any interest to actually use a template-based approach on those workload API?
Yeah, this is part of the document actually. Which is how to enable and disable the gang scheduling, which includes do we need to like have the workload API like like have the template as an external template, so everyone can update it, or making it custom for like each controller, or like how this will work. Should every controller will create it, or like do we have like exposed some of these fields? It's a lot of options. I tried to list all the options that we have discussed, like during the past 2 months in different areas. But please feel free to add more details to like to these options, so we can discuss it in the next meeting.
Yeah, because like my expectation was, I mean, if we say that the workload is the essential piece of workload orchestration Kubernetes, and it should be part of every kind of application you deploy, probably like we should let users to configure this as part of their CR submission, right? Where there's jobs, job set, leader worker set, right, or any other third-party component, the controllers, right? Yeah, but we can talk about it. Like I think like there are some challenges that we discuss in the job cap, like hey, like workload API right now is alpha, but job is V1. What if we introduce breaking changes there? So it will be very tricky, right, for us to maintain it. Yeah, but yeah, happy to follow up with this in the doc.
Yeah, we had this discussion actually, which is like every change in the workload API, which will be a lot, like at least the next couple of releases, we have to follow up with every single API, and we have to change every single API, which is it's not optimum, of course. So
yeah, we definitely can't do that. Like that won't work because of like amount of work even to do that. So we need something smarter. Like template is one of the options. I don't think it's the only option, but it's certainly one of the options.
Yeah, that tends to be what Andre and I are leaning towards, because like we have two features for job set. Like there's a lot of interest in gang scheduling and job set, and I'm not really trying to add co-scheduling or volcano support to job set right now with the entry one. But gang scheduling is somewhat simple, but then there's another request for DRA for having all of the replicated jobs share the same resource claim. And then in that case, I don't know how hiding those details really works for job set, because like I don't like, for TPUs, I imagine there's a case where we want all the jobs to share the same TPU or whatever. I don't know. But so I'm trying to kind of collate all of these requests in job set, and I'm definitely want workloads to support that. But I think it depends on every use case is different. So that's why I think a workload template, and I'm okay as a job set maintainer to at least take on like an alpha feature for a workload API. I don't think I'm okay from the job controller reviewer side of including that, because I think it's like this is a relatively alpha this is an alpha functionality right now, and I don't know if it makes sense to put the full we can't probably put the full workload API in the job controller right now, because we might have breaking changes with alpha. So that's at least the thoughts that when I was thinking about for the workload stuff. And that's why I was I'm leaning on at least on a template or something, especially for DRA in topology-aware scheduling, which is another area that I'm interested in. So I'm trying to, that's why I'm actively following this now. So yeah, anyway, that's all for me.
Sorry, just quick comment, like getting back to like scheduling this meeting, like, and talking about this thing. If we can try to make that next week, that would be great, because like the week after I'm out, and I know Eric is also out, so like, and we probably would like to be, at least one of us would like to be on that meeting. So
yeah, I think there's Monday and Monday and Tuesday next week are the options there.
Yeah, I sent the Slack thread here. Please feel free, if any of these is not working with you, let me know. We can accommodate this, of course. But for now, it should be on Monday.
Just maybe like a quick question, to the broader community. Like, I think like the point that Kevin was mentioned, have a job set, a way to experiment with things because it's an alpha and job is when, like V1. Any thoughts on, like maybe first, after we agree on the design and the API, experiment with those, controllers, and collect the feedback from users, because I guess like, workload is an alpha, job set is an alpha, layer worker set is an alpha. We can have like at least something working and then iterate to see like what we can do for job deployment stateful sets, right? Because I feel like that might require more time for us to think about, right?
Yeah, the only concern I will say is even if they are alpha, I do know that from the Google side that job set is effectively treated as GA, and leader worker set is technically a V1 API also. So I think it's okay if we have this as at least a feature gate, and it has to be, because the workload API is not, it's probably not in any, well, I don't know if any distribution has it right now by default. I don't know if Google supports alpha APIs by default or not, but I know that we don't do that at OpenShift. So I think most distributions would probably not have like the workload API enabled in 1.35 right now. So I think it probably makes sense to have this as an alpha feature anyway.
I think the requirement is going through, or like doing the work in parallel for the job set, LWS, and job, with of course feature gate for alpha. They will have like their own feature gate, and to be honest, it's totally fine, because according to which way we are going to choose to integrate the workload API, it might be like not 100% depend on the workload API changes, so it might be easier. So yeah, let's discuss this and try to get like a conclusion by the end of this meeting, hopefully.
Meaning next week.
Yes, next week, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the last item in the agenda are the 3 caps that are in the review. The workload scheduling cycle is the most important, because other caps depends on it on some way. I wonder if anyone has questions about those, we could discuss it here. It's probably we don't have enough time to like describe those caps. If you are not familiar with them, I would suggest to take a look.
I guess my question for the DRA, I like the suggestion of like priority are all of these like P0 effectively? Like I know there's a lot of the WAS ones, there's a beta promotion, and then there's what, TAS and DRA, and then preemption. And I don't know if there's any other ones that are off the top of my head, but all of them together is Just curious if like are all high priority for you all?
So I think workload scheduling cycle is sort of P0. So this is the introduction of a phase in kubescheduler, which is capable of scheduling the whole workload. And it is a part of, in general, gang scheduling and promoting workload API to beta. And there are two main blockers. The one is the delayed preemption, which has to be separated from scheduling. And this, what was the second thing?
Delayed the cycle.
The cycle itself.
The cycle itself, yeah.
Right. So we should have that because other features depend on it. So the delayed preemption is currently part of the workload preemption. We will most likely or probably move it to workload scheduling cycle to make it, enable it for beta.
But we also need the decision on pod group, right?
We need it for beta promotion. It doesn't necessarily block the things that we want. Like we need to do those things that are proposed currently in the KEP anyway, no matter like if we proceed with like the embedded pod group or we separate to a separate object. That decision blocks the beta promotion.
Okay.
Yes, and a bit affects the workload cycle implementation, but it's not that it changes everything there.
I mean, yes, it affects a little bit, but like conceptually, like we are operating on pod groups.
Yes.
Anyway. So like there will be changes. It's not that it's like a in place change, but it's to significant extent it's like separate.
But sorry, Andre. But the pod group, the workload scheduling cycle, if it's acting on a pod group or on a workload and the pod groups in the workload, like then it's making decisions based upon pod group information. I don't know. Maybe I should go back and reread the KEP because it was a month ago I read, or well, 3 weeks ago I read it. But I'm trying to think if the pod groups are inferred from information on the pod. It seems like how do you make a pod group decision? But maybe you can still do it. I don't know.
No, it's like I think that we are doing it anyway to a significant extent. Like so the pod group has the information like what we expect from the pods, like the min count, for example. And then we then do the only difference is like whether the pod, like whether we have like that information in the workload object versus we have like another pod group objects that will contain this information, right? So that's really the only change. Like, so where exactly that information will be, but.
I have a similar question. So it looks like the pod group separation pod group from CRD won't block us, but I guess like the question is, I also need to probably read the KEP, but like, do we take a schedule decisions on a pod group or on the workload as a whole, right? So for me, it's kind of unclear because I mean, especially for the workflows type of kind of more complex workloads, which require, like partial admission or partial scheduling. I'm not sure, like whether we should talk about in this KEP, because then like we need to make sure we take scheduled decision based on pod groups, right? Not on the workload as a whole, if that makes sense.
So I think the short answer is that whatever, because pod groups introduces scheduling constraints across the group of pods. So we have to schedule pod group at once. So we will probably either break down pod groups into smaller subgroups or make group of pod groups. Whenever we introduce some constraint that expands across more pod groups, those pod groups would have to be scheduled together because otherwise it's not feasible to do it without considering them together. So workload itself, I don't think in itself, it does not introduce the workload level constraints yet.
Yeah, but as described in the like original docs that Eric started like for the 135, yeah, like we already are like envisioning the evolution where like pod group will not be like just a single level of pods. It will have like subgroups or however it was called, and like then so I think that will be the way to represent that, and then have like different dependencies across like subgroups or subgroups or however what that was called. So like I think we will get there. I'm not sure we need to solve that now.
Yeah, I guess as I was sorry, you have your hand up. You go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, as I was playing around with job set, I was able to kind of do a lot of what I needed with just the original workload API. So, I mean, even stuff like leader and worker and having the depends on where you have like one job that must start first and the other two can start in parallel. I was able to kind of replicate a lot of that with the workload API as is right now. I know that maybe I'm missing some other conversations around pod groups that I wasn't saying, but I guess I put a comment on that doc that I wasn't exactly clear on the use cases of why the pod group needs to be separated at the moment and like what use cases. But I know we're at a time and I have to drop, but I put a comment on the pod groups to maybe get like a little bit more clarity on like the use cases, because I'm haven't read all the docs that you all have around this. They've been everywhere.
No, that's a good call out. Yes, I only started this doc like 2 hours before like leaving for like Christmas vacation, and I just did it yesterday. So like I will get to it. Like the TLDR is that basically the scalability and the life cycle of the pod group, like in the independent life cycle of individual pod groups from the workload as a whole is like the primary motivations. But like let me try to write it down like in the upcoming days, so that like we can agree on something here.
Yeah. One more addition, which is when I was working on the workload API status, the pod group like state or status, it's getting complicated inside the workload API. So It is, like it's like hierarchical status right now. I'm not sure if, like from user perspective or it's getting complicated. Let's say that. I will have the proposal for the status in the couple days as well for review.
Okay, thanks. Any more questions? Topics? Maciek, I think we can conclude.
Yes,
right?
yes, we don't have more topics, so yeah, and we are 3 minutes late, so yeah, let's finish now. So thank you everyone. Thanks for joining today, and see you maybe next week on the special meeting. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.